We've been trying to interview as many of the people thinking of running for president as possible, and Friday we sat down with Ohio Governor John Kasich. Here are some highlights. Governor, you said last week you were waiting for the Lord to tell you what to do. Has he told you?
Well, no, look, all I was saying, Bob, back then was I think we all have a purpose for our life, and you just try to figure out what's the right thing to do in life. And if I think I can win, I'm likely to do it, but I'm not going to do it just, on a wild hair and.
When do you think you'll know?
There's got to be a path to victory, or, in the meantime, I hope to do some good. I think I am.
Let's talk a little bit about a path to victory. Do you think it's going to be necessary for Republicans to broaden their base in order to elect a Republican president?
Bob, I think the bigger problem is America needs to be led by somebody who's not worrying about appealing to certain groups. In Ohio, I won 86 out of 88 counties. I've received 26% of the African American vote, 60% of women. I won Cuyahoga County, which the president won by 40 votes. See, I think everybody's about the same in America. We're worried about our children. We're worrying about the great debt. We're worrying about the fact that we can't seem to solve problems. We're worried about our place in the world. Bob, that's American value. That's not a Republican value. So in some ways, I'm actually trying to redefine what it means to be a conservative.
When we asked him about the recent disclosures of foreign money contributions to the Clinton Foundation, he deflected the question. Do you think that's an issue, and what is she going to have to do about that?
Well, the New York Times said it was an issue. I saw a little bit of their editorial today, and when they say it's an issue, everybody has to listen, most particularly the Democrats who read those editorial pages carefully. She's going to have to deal with that, but we all have to deal with many issues. I think it's a serious one when you're talking about an issue like uranium and Russia and where all that fits. But Bob, I think there's a time for that for me later more than now. I think now I need to let people know how I think, what I have done, what I've accomplished. And I like to say I'm the most experienced candidate.
On foreign policy, Kasich doesn't like the deal pending to limit Iran's nuclear weapons, but he's not ready to bomb them. Senator Rubio told me that if it comes to it, we may have to go to war with Iran to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon. Do you go that far?
No, Bob, you don't go saying things like that. Those are just things you say when you're kind of speculating. When it comes to the issue of national security, you don't want to be speculating. What I would say is this: keep the sanctions on. You can keep talking, but let's get an agreement that's not going to create a proliferation of this material, these weapons. Think about the proliferation of this material into the hands of Hamas, Hezbollah, or some offshoot of ISIS. Think about a dirty bomb being exploded, God forbid, in a major city. I mean, you know how serious this is. I know how serious this is. But at the same time, let's not be out there putting a game plan. Let's keep steady as she goes, but let's be firm.
On social issues, Kasich is against same-sex marriage. Kind of the question of the month to ask Republican candidates these days is, would you go to a same-sex wedding?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I actually have a friend of mine that asked me if I would go, and I said, let me think about it. I went home and I talked to my wife. She said, well, I'm going. I called him a couple days later and said, you know what? Let me know what time it is. Now, I'm not for, I've been pretty clear about my position. I believe that a marriage is between a man and a woman. But look, it's my friend. I care about him. It's no big deal.
On the question of drones and the disclosure that 2 hostages, one an American, were killed accidentally in a drone strike, he said this.
Well, look, the drone program, if run in a very, very deliberate way, is probably an asset for us. It's better to send a drone to get a militant than it is to put a soldier, a man or a woman there where they may not come home. However, this drone program should not be run by the CIA. The drone program should be run by the Pentagon. The targeting operations that are involved in trying to find what you're going to hit, when, why, and how need to be precise, because collateral damage makes enemies that we don't need to make.
And for the record, if Kasich does run, it will be for the top spot. He has no interest in being number 2 on anyone's ticket, and here's why. The fact is, say, for example, if Jeb Bush got the top spot,
you don't think
a guy from Florida who has ties to Texas, who put somebody from Ohio on the ticket.
Do you ever play basketball, Bob?
Not very well.
Okay, well, when you play, you drive it to the basket. You don't think about, if you got an open spot, you take it to the basket. You don't think about passing off. It's all about focus. I'm not even thinking about it. And by the way, I got a state, 11.5 million people. I remember when Ed Koch ran for governor of New York against Cuomo, and he lost. And he said, well, you know what? I might not be governor, but I'm mayor of New York City, and that ain't bad. So, Bob, I want to serve the people of the state. And look, great things are happening there. We're not done yet. And so I'm not even thinking about that. And the decision to run for president, should I make that decision, takes into account my ability or need to be able to continue to manage the state. So I never thought like low. And by the way, you've been around a long time. Could you tell me what a vice president does?